someone's from whatever, what's the next phase? Phase 5?
Phase 4.
Phase 4. I'm playing someone in phase 4 that we'll see where that goes. But that was great. I mean, it was interesting because when I watched the movie, the premiere of it, and a really cool, because he first appeared obviously in Infinity War, and I got to see it in a really cool once-in-a-lifetime situation. I was in, good catch, good catch. I was in Australia, and I was just walking with one of a Marvel artist, and she goes, "Do you want to go see Infinity War?" I'm like, because it hadn't come out yet.
Right.
It was not set to release worldwide for like 2 more days. I was like, okay, all right. So it was me, Alan Tudyk, you know, Walter the Black Power Ranger, all these other, you know, just this oddity of folks coming together, and we saw it on the biggest IMAX screen in the world with the press, and it was awesome. But when I saw Ebony Maw come up on screen, I was like, because sometimes an acting exercise that my professor taught me was watch a movie and see who you would portray, who you think you would portray in that movie, and then ask someone who they think you would portray in that movie. That's how you can gauge if you've got an accurate self-awareness of what you can play. And I thought, oh, Ebony Maw. I was like, even though he gets iced up, that would be. And so it's so funny that later, Ebony Maw. So I'm like, okay, good. I can come after it. So it was great. It was fun.
You know what's funny? Like, when I used to read the Naruto Shippuden manga, and when they did the part when Obito showed up,
yeah,
I literally thought of your voice. I did the voice in your voice, and I was like, wait, he did this? I was like, what? The voice director must have thought about this.
Well, please do that more. Think of that more, so hopefully it'll happen some more.
Yeah. What was your favorite one? What was your favorite character? Cause I know you did Jocko. I didn't know you did Jocko because your voice was so small.
Yeah.
It was like, oh.
Just favorite character in general?
Mm-hmm.
Natsu. Yeah. We've been together a long time, so gotta represent.
And with that you bring up now, so how does it feel that you wrap up the final season after so many years? Like maybe there is a sequel with 100 requests, but overall with the final season wrap up, how did it feel to let that show go for now in the meantime that it hadn't been confirmed for more?
It's a weird place to be because you know, when a relative dies, they're dead. And it's like you can begin the healing process and that's it. And it's like, you know, they died and that's all. With something like this where it's like, oh, it seems like the 100-year quest is kind of a thing. And like, you know, in the way that show ends, it's like, well, God, right there, come on. But not knowing, especially in the entertainment industry, when things can change like that, you know, when you have, you know, when you have a movie like Dark Fate, Terminator Dark Fate, get bomb at the box office, and then Tim Miller, who directed it, then his Kitty Pryde movie gets canned. You know, you're like, oh, was this happen because of that? Like, so many things can change at the last second. Like, or, you know, you see someone who, you know, Chewbacca mom comes out on YouTube out of nowhere, and then it was like, oh my God, millions of views, let's get her to a con. And then she goes to a convention and it's like, doesn't work. So it's like, all the entertainment industry is so weird. It's like, who would have thought that, you know what, let's put all the Beverly Hills housewives together. Let's make a show about them. How do you come up with that? So it's like, you can't really gauge what's gonna happen. So for example, another example is D. Gray Man. Mm-hmm. Shit, I didn't know that 10 years later we would come back to that show. I thought for sure we would, and that's why I made the bet about piercing my ears, because I'm like, I guarantee you we're not doing D. Gray Man.
Oh, pierce my ears.
And then I said, I go, if we, because earlier in that day I'd seen a guy with pierced ears that looked cool, so it stuck in my head. And so when someone asked about D. Gray Man, I was like, if that show comes back, I'll pierce my ears, because I thought for sure it'd been 10 years. 2 months later, I get a tweet from a fan that's like, congratulations on D. Gray Man. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's like, wait, what?
And so I went and got my ears pierced. And I made good on the bet. But so who knows? Who knows? I have no idea what's going to happen. But I hope for the best. But as I a book that I'm reading, fear and hope come from the same place. If you think about it. Because fear and hope are dealing with things that haven't happened yet in the future. So they both are just a source of stress. So I try to like, okay, I don't want stress. So I'm not gonna hope for it. I would like it, but I'm trying not to hope for it. So that when I get it, it's an awesome surprise. And if I don't get it, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So.
Talk about, I know we kind of brought up Jocko a little bit. Is that a freeing role for you? Because it's like, it's very like almost you a little bit in your funny moments.
Just like with a little bit more spandex.
Yes,
you know?
and his staying power with the movie, and the show and the series, he's a kind of reoccurring character.
Yeah, I hear that if there's more DBZ in the future, there is rumor that he will be make a return. So I hope that happens. Jocko's a lot of fun. I like being the legitimate, like on purpose comic relief, as opposed to like things just being funny in the show. Like, oh, that's a funny moment, but like specifically bring in the character that's supposed. So it's fun to let loose and play, for sure.
Do you get to go into the booth and play off other actors like on Sword Art Online, Shrami, and Brian? Or
when we do anime or any kind of dubbing, no, we record it separately. When I work on shows like Scooby-Doo or Ben 10, we're recording together, and it's great. It's great always great to work off other people, for sure. But it's kind of an isolated existence for dubbing, because and with good reason. I mean, with each line, the engineer has to take it and make sure it fits in the exact pre-existing animation. And with anime, of course, there's moments where it's like little, big, small, crying, sad, nosebleed, happy, eating food, you know, all in the moment. And so it would be difficult to do with more than one person at once. So unfortunately, I don't get to see Jeremy as much as people think we hang out, even though we are kind of neighbors. Like, we don't live that far from each other. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me do this. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm actually going to send her a Marco Polo right now. And I'm going to say, okay. Hey, Jeremy. We're sitting here and I'm hanging out with some folks, doing a little interview action. And we were just talking about you and how amazing you are and how fantastic you are behind the mic, and how that we don't get to hang out very much even though we kind of live next to each other. So let's do this. December, we have to get together and have a dinner. Deal? If it's a deal, say nothing. Perfect. Okay, December. Alright, so she'll get that message and she'll let me know what she thinks.
I'm gonna use that.
But one more question about Natsu is that what was your favorite scene with all that has happened in his role and for his progression? And also, do you use his tagline "Fire Up" in your daily life as well?
Strangely, yes, but not because I was using it before the show. It's a Texas thing that just stuck with me. My favorite moment, there's so many over the course of 10 years, but anytime, it's so weird because it's like I don't have the impetus that Natsu has in the terms of with my friends of like, I really respect you, so I think we need to fight now. Like punch, kick, fight to the death. It's like such a weird thing. It'd be like, bro, I had such a good time at dinner. Can we fight? Like, it's such a weird dynamic. But whenever I would challenge Gildarts, it was always fun. I always thought that, the one time Natsu's like, I give up. It's rare. So that was a lot of fun. Anytime I get to kick ass is always a blast.
What do fans mostly remember you for out of all the roles that you've done?
It's interesting. It's a toss-up because it's Natsu, Death the Kid, Hikaru, Sergeant Frog, and Alan.
Yeah.
So really kind of all equally, which is lovely. And then occasionally you get some Initial D sneaking in there, and stuff like that. So I saw those cars over there.
Yes.
Cool. It's good condition too.
A86.
Yeah. So it's a variety. I've been very fortunate to have played some really great roles at such a strange it was all like such a concentrated golden age of anime before streaming kicked in. You know, it was kind of like when you think of you know, bands that have you know, several hits. A lot of times they do it in a really quick amount of time, and so to do those shows all kind of right around the same time, it was fun to do. I was very fortunate, very lucky. Yeah.
Speaking of Sergeant Frog, how did you come up with the voice for Carol?
You know, it was Brina actually who alerted me to that show. She goes, Colleen, who's directing it, or directing the test episode. We did a test episode. Brina said that, hey, Colleen's looking for nerdy voices for this show about frogs. I had no idea what this show was about. I had no idea that in Japan, Sergeant Frog's huge. In Sergeant Frog, Keroro sells things like cereals and couches and vacuums, and I had no clue. And so she goes, they're looking for a nerdy, you know, nerdy voice, etc. And she goes, and I thought of you. And then I was like, okay. And she goes, it's 323 episodes. And I'm like, I'm in. So I went and auditioned. And originally, we did a test episode, and we would take the fans' feedback and adjust casting based on that. So I was Kulu at first, and someone else was Keroro, but the fans didn't quite like that dynamic in terms of where everyone's voices were, so Colleen switched it, and then I became Kulu, or Keroro, and then that stuck, yeah. And then we worked on that show. That show was, I pulled the longest hours on that show. I would voice that show oftentimes 12 hours a day. So that energy level for 12 hours a day. Yeah, I took.
Is that regular or like across?
Oh no, it was very irregular because something about how we had to. I think that something was delayed. The scripts were delayed or something, so we had to play catch up. So I would work on episodes like 1 through 3 in the morning, like till 6, and then 6:15 because I had to take a break. 6:15 to 10, I would do like episodes 17 through 19. So it'd be like all over the place. Luckily, that show's kind of a serialized show to where it's like you don't necessarily need to watch episode 1, 2, 3 in order, you know. So it was it worked out, but it was a lot.
You've mentioned that usually dub casting for anime is usually isolated by yourself, but I do know that you also voiced Link from His Brotherhood. Were you and Troy Baker able to like work together as a thing that's both Lin and Greed at the same time?
See, and that's the beauty of our mix engineers and our engineers. They make it seamless. When really, we recorded at completely separate times. And then it goes back to having a good director who's like, okay, Troy's gonna say this part, but you say this part. Or Troy's gonna say this, then you say this, and we'll blend it together. When I directed Claymore, which was an awesome show, it's so funny to me where they're like, there's nothing in pop culture that really shows women power. I'm like, you all haven't seen Claymore. What about Sailor Moon? All this kind of stuff. Ripley, Sarah Connor.
Yeah, Slayers.
Yeah, so when we did Claymore, please don't go online and say, Todd doesn't believe in women power. Don't freaking do that, please. I say one offhanded thing, it's like, Todd believes in making human skin lamps. Comic.com. So, but when we did Claymore, in terms of interesting directing choices, at the end of it, the villain kind of reaches her maximum power ability. And so I thought like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we did 5 layers of her voice? So I had Rena who played Priscilla, I want to say, it was a while ago. She did, I had her do, so each line, she did 1 layer of whisper, 1 layer of normal, 1 layer of yelling, 1 layer of a pitch lower than herself. And then we mixed all those together for the whole final episode. It's pretty cool. So, but we make it seem like she did it in 1 take. So yeah, stuff like that's always fun to do.
Do you have rituals that you practice before each voice acting session? How many takes do you generally get?
I mean, for me, It is for me. It's like 1 or 2 takes, but it is. I'm grateful that for those situations. But there are times and sometimes I work with actors where it's a few more than that. It just depends on the situation. So you know, and there's a lot of different extenuating circumstances that could lead to more takes. Maybe the engineer, something happened with Pro Tools and something stopped recording, or maybe there's a loud bang in the other room, or maybe, you know, I was off mic, or someone was off mic, or someone hit the mic, and so there's a variety of reasons. But luckily it's about 1 or 2 takes, and they get what they need, which might be in the direction of not paying attention at all, but makes me feel good.
Is there ever a role that you had to improv where you had no rehearsal at all?
Usually when people come to the autograph line and they're like, okay, what would it be like if Natsu, Keroro, and Det the Kid got into a room, saw a rhino in the northwest corner, a giraffe southeast from Keroro, one's on fire, one's bleeding, how would that go? That's where I'm like, okay, here we go. Outside of that, I typically don't. For Sergeant Frog, I improv'd a lot stayed in. But typically I won't improv because I have a weird reason why I don't. It revolves around the fact that essentially if you start improvising and they keep something in there, you've now become a writer on the show. But are you getting credit for that? No. The writer gets credit for that. And if there's a cool line you come up with that is yours and maybe it becomes your catchphrase, who gets credit for that? The writer. And it's like, I'm cool with it if they're like, hey, Todd co-wrote blah 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 on this episode, but it doesn't ever go down that way. So I'm really kind of resistant to improv like that behind the mic, because it happens a lot. I'll get directors that are like, go ahead and feel free to, you know, give us 1 take as written, but if you give us another take improv, all I do is I go, okay. And I don't.
Have you ever spoken beforehand about getting some kind of credit?
When I not specifically for improv, but when I was directing Saint Seiya: The Lost Canvas, we rewrote those scripts. I rewrote those scripts extensively, and I asked for a writing credit on it because it wasn't like 1 line here, 2 lines here. Entire scripts I rewrote throughout the 26 episodes. There's another show. I don't know if it ever came out. Oh my God, Crow's Blood. Probably no one's ever heard of it. Crow's Blood is like it's a show where they took a girl pop band and they made a show with them. Like, you know how they take sometimes these big bands and they say, well, let's capitalize on your popularity and let's make a show out of it. They did. It's called Crow's Blood. It's an interesting show. It's like on purpose, like cool, like B-movie horror. But with those scripts, I rewrote every one of them. So and I got credit for. I asked for credit for that.
Speaking of horror, Naruto.
Oh yeah, that was before every big monologue was like, get the air. Here we go. That has the most depressing Christmas episode ever, by the way. But that was a great show. Loved it. Yeah.
But you're doing also just a kid. Did you ever do it in your real life to see everything symmetrical after that?
Oh, everything has to have an order. Maybe not symmetrical order, but some order. Like now that this exists right here, this has to stay just like this. Like this mic is now mine. But you know, everything, like everybody does, everyone has to have a little order, you know, to finish. So yeah, absolutely.
Is there ever a role where you could just be yourself, where you didn't really need to act the person you are, you just
watch Mojo? when I sling shit at the people in the comments section, I mean it.
Oh, when it was Natsu, right? It was like.
Any of them, when those guys are like giving us shit, I'm like, I'll give it right back to you.
Do you read fan comments often?
I'll pop down there if I'm feeling particularly arrogant someday and I need to bust myself down and get humble. I'll go down there and read it. It's like, why would you say that about my mom? You don't even know her. It's so funny. It's so funny in this comment section. It's like, I do occasionally.
So Todd, we're here celebrating the 40th anniversary of Gundam, and you're part of Thunderbolt. Talk about that. Is that achievement unlocked?
You know what? It was, yeah, absolutely, the little Xbox thing. You know what's funny is Tomino, I met him, it must have been 10 years ago, when, or the 30th anniversary. Was he here for the 30th anniversary at New York Comic Con? Or New York Anime Fest? Because I brought him original Gundam cells that were given to me to get signed for charity. And that was the last time I met him, because I brought him these animation cells he hadn't seen since he'd done the show originally. And I still have the video where like, he's like, whoa, and he brought his wife over, and then he signed some of them. It was great. Yeah, it's to be a part of any of these legacy franchises is really something that I'll always remember and be grateful for. Hopefully it will, you know, keep me warm at night. So yeah.
You guys, we've got time for one more question.
Okay, so if it was any other character from any other show, like who would you do? Like if in Fairy Tail, which other character would you would love to voice?
Maybe Gajiel? Gajiel's cool. Or the little no-neck chicken from the first movie. I tried to get that no-neck chicken in the director, Tyler. No, quit asking. I go, he said like 5 lines. But yeah, or
Clue.
What such freedom. You just walk around with no shame, just completely naked all the time. People are like, oh, so cute. You know, most time you see it in LA, you're like, arrest that person. You can't walk around nude, but Blue clearly can do whatever he wants.
Freedom, true freedom.
That's right.
When you mentioned Dark Fate before, would you ever reject a character based on the fact that you think it won't succeed and might hurt your career?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I try to be very selective about something, especially if it's a character that I felt like went out on a high note. If it's like a cash grab that isn't solidified in quality, I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Do you remember Beat the Vandal Buster?
Yes! How do you remember that?
Because I love that show.
Oh, yes! That was a great show. That was fun to work on. And AM Driver at the same time.
Yes.
Worked on that. That's awesome.
It should have been really popular.
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. Very cool. Kind of craziest, creepiest character I've ever played, but there's a character in ReZero who he's nuts, and he's basically like anime Joker in a way, in like a weird sadistic way. He's the worst. When I played him, I remember turning to Chris Kaysen, who directed it, and I'm like, this is the one. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, this is the weirdest, creepiest role I've ever done. Ever. I knew it right there. So Oberon could take a few villain lessons from him, I guess, but yeah, it was weird.
Do you believe in what Christian Bale says, that, you know, if you play a villain, it's more freeing as an actor?
I think definitely villains do have more fun in the sense that they don't subscribe to rules. The hero does. The hero's always going to have a really, not strict, but a pretty set structure of how they're going to proceed through the story. Whereas a villain just makes up the rules as they go along. So it is, in a way, pretty freeing. I think, I mean, I like playing both. I think playing a hero is better because the villain usually dies. So, yeah.
I'm going to bring up another creepy role. You also voiced Setsuna Kiryu in Kengan Ashura, but also Phantom Dudley and Chia. How was it to transition to every different roles of your characters for Kengan Ashura?
You know, you get into when it's a situation like that, you're just, for me, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm doing the production justice and doing what the director's asking, and so it's really helpful to have a great director to guide you in what you need to know so that you can accurately do your job. And so as long as they're there, I can play a variety of different roles as long as they're there to help paint with me.
Okay.
And then we're good. You know, yeah.
Sticking on the theme of villains, you played Ebony Maw in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Mm-hmm.
how did that go, and how?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I think they're the non-Marvel fan is in the minority. So I definitely had a good time doing that, and I play a couple other Marvel characters that I don't know if they're released yet, but oh yeah, definitely ones from whatever. What's the next phase? Phase 5?
Phase 4.
Phase 4. I'm playing someone in Phase 4 that we'll see where that goes, but that was great. I mean,